Over the past year, we have sadly seen dozens of broadcast veterans in Chicago, Milwaukee, and Madison pass away. They include notable broadcasters like WLS political reporter Hugh Hill, WGN newsman Marty McNeely, and WMAQ special events director Carol Cooling, along with a number of other great professionals who served in front of and behind the camera. And then, of course, there was the legendary movie critic Roger Ebert, who passed away in May of this year. I'd like to introduce Thea Flaum, the woman who in the 1970s helped create and produce the landmark PBS show featuring Roger and Gene Siskel, Sneak Previews.
Thank you. I'm here to talk a little bit about my friend Roger and to tell you a little bit of a television story. On a warm summer day in 1975, I met Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel in a North Side restaurant for lunch. Roger picked the restaurant because it was close to his home. When he heard this, Gene insisted on picking the restaurant the next time we met. And thus the sparring began and was to continue nonstop for the next 23 years. Of course, none of us knew it then. I was a TV producer on an interesting mission to create a new series about the movies. Roger loved the idea right away. It was clear to him that television was the perfect way to tell people about the movies because the film clips would show viewers exactly what he was talking about. And as anyone would have told you back then, it was highly unlikely that two guys from Chicago, were going to become nationally known film critics on PBS. But Roger, Gene, and I believed. In fact, shortly after we began, I promised them that one day our show would be the highest rated series on PBS. And after a few years, it was. Along the way, Roger and I piled up a lot of memories. He used to arrive at my house on Sunday evenings, teleprompter copy in hand, so we could work on it together. We would sit at my dining room table while he mastered how to write for TV. And only once during all my editing did he ever grumble, "You know, Thea, I do have a Pulitzer Prize." As time went on, Roger got famous. He once called to tell me that he'd been recognized in an airport in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He was very excited, except the woman had shouted out, "Which one are you?" His great friend Bill Nack tells the story about walking into a busy, crowded, loud restaurant and the whole place suddenly going quiet when Roger was spotted. "Pay no attention," said Roger. "It's just TV." Nevertheless, Roger was always a very good friend to this academy. One February, when I didn't have a speaker for the monthly luncheons I was in charge of, I got the bright idea of having Roger and Gene do a program on their predictions about who was going to win the Oscars. Believe it or not, I was afraid that nobody would come. So I promoted that we'd also be showing film clips. It wouldn't just be the two guys talking. In fact, the Academy Awards luncheon remained a sellout event for us for the next 20 years. Roger and Gene were given our Governor's Award. Roger was inducted into the Silver Circle. Roger funded a Chicago TV Academy scholarship for years, and this year, the Governor's awarded a Roger Ebert scholarship in his memory. A little-known fact, Roger and Oprah Winfrey hosted the Emmys together before either of them ever became household names. Roger's celebrity never really touched him. In fact, nothing changed Roger until Chaz. She was his soulmate. She brought him joy and a family and made his life whole. When Roger got sick, it was Chaz who brought him through and helped him focus on new books, new TV shows, Twitter, his website, his blog, things that did not require him to speak, only that he think and write. He called Chaz his guardian angel. Roger had always been a great guy, Chaz enabled him to become a great man. I was at the hospital with Roger and Chaz on the Monday before Roger died. Josh Golden came in to show Roger the final version of his new website, rogerebert.com, which they were just about to launch. Roger looked it over, then wrote on the small pad he used to communicate, "Looks great, even better than I hoped." Then, gracious and eloquent to the end, he added, "Thank you. You have made me immortal." I certainly hope so.
We all are born with a certain package. We are who we are. Where we were born, who we were born as, how we were raised. We're kind of stuck inside that person. And the purpose of civilization and growth is to be able to reach out and empathize a little bit with other people. Find out what makes them tick, what they feel about, what they care about. And for me, the movies are like a machine that generates empathy. If it's a great movie, it lets you understand a little bit more about what it's like to be a different gender, a different race, a different age, a different economic class, a different nationality, different profession, different hopes, aspirations, dreams, and fears. It helps us to identify with the people who are sharing this journey with us. And that, to me, is the most noble thing that good movies can do, and it's a reason to encourage them and to support them and to go to them.
Thanks to Pam Grimes of WGN-TV for that very lovely tribute to Roger. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce my friend, the wonderful, here she comes, Chaz Ebert.
Thank you. I don't know if you knew this. When Gene and Roger did the television show, which actually ran for 36 years in one form or another, they always had it in their contract that the show had to be broadcast from Chicago, that it couldn't go to LA or New York. They felt that strongly about what the Midwest brought to the show. Roger always said that even though for over 20 years, where the Channel 7 WLS ABC team is his home team, he said that he was proud of all of the news stations in Chicago, and that Chicago had the smartest news teams of anywhere, bar none. When Roger went through his illnesses, one of the things that I did for him was to show him some of the reporting. And I have to tell you, thank you, because you didn't wait until the end. You actually showed him a lot of love, a lot of respect, a lot of support, all throughout all the years he was here, but especially in the last 7 years that I call the miracle years. At some of the things tonight, I was laughing because it was hilarious, and WITI, keep supporting your team. Keep entering those news teams. Keep supporting them. Keep them working, because, you know, social media and the internet is great, and we all have to come into that. But where did they get everything? From our local news teams, from our newspapers, so just keep them reporting. The thing that I want to say is this. When I was laughing at some of the things, because some of the stuff that was happening up here was a little hilarious, and I was thinking, I sure wish Roger was here. And I got to tell you, it almost sounds like he was saying, don't worry, babe, I'm there, I'm there. And he is here tonight, and he thanks you, and I thank you. Good night.